Coach, what do you want to see from this team turning the page for the first time this week as they now focus on Temple?
Well, I thought we did some good things Saturday, and you get in here and watch the film. Things are never as good or as bad as you think they are sometimes, and um, we left a lot out there on Saturday. And there's certain things you expect. The first game jitters, some mistakes. Had a lot of guys playing for the first time. On both sides of the ball and on special teams, and so we've got to make some corrections. We got to build off of what we did. Certainly some bright spots. There's no question about it, but we're going to have to play much, much better this week to have a chance to beat Temple. There's no doubt about that. So I think taking what we learned from this game, flushing it, getting better at things you did well and correcting the things that we didn't. A lot of little things that we can certainly do better. So just building on what we did and making corrections from game one. And there's always, as a coach, usually your most improvement, Scott, is from game one to game two. And our goal is to be the most improved team in the country from game one to game two this week.
And how important is it, especially this early in the season, when you've got a bye game coming up afterwards, when you need to really perform well early in the season, when you have an early season bye?
I don't think the bye affects our preparation this week. It's nice to have one early, but I'm not really looking ahead to the bye week at this point, Scott. We got to go to work today and prepare for a really athletic team coming in here. You watch them against Oklahoma. They athletically they fit right in with Oklahoma. I think they're improving a lot of areas of their program. I think a lot of things went south on a Saturday. You can't turn the ball over 6 times and expect to have a chance to compete with a team like Oklahoma. But they've got some good players. I think what they're doing schematically on both sides of the ball is good, and I'm sure they're going to be a much improved team coming here this week too.
Why is Eli Heidenreich such a good fit in this offense?
Well, he can do so many things. He's a good fit because he's a really good player, and just the flexibility. He can line up at wide receiver, runs crisp routes, has really good hands. You can put him in the backfield. He can run between the tackles. He can run on the perimeter. He's a bigger body. He does a really good job blocking. He does a lot of good things without the ball in his hands as well. He's just a really good football player.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Scott.
Hayden.
Hi, Coach. Hayden Mandel with Owl Sports Update. When you were mentioning Temple and just how athletic they've looked on offense, who has kind of stood out to you when you watched the film from Oklahoma on Friday?
Yeah, well, you start with the quarterback. Obviously they lost a good one last year. Transferring over to Rice, but I think quarterback's a good player. He throws it really well. He's athletic. They're doing some stuff with him in the running game. Been really impressed with him and really the skill around him. The O-line's big. There's a couple of younger guys, playing tackle for them, but they're big and long and athletic. And they got after us a little bit up front, last year. And so just really impressed with the overall athleticism and size. And I think the quarterback's a good player.
And obviously, compared to last year, kind of a different style run offense. What's kind of the difference that you're trying to kind of put in with your team from last year to this year?
I'm sorry, Hayden, the difference between what they did schematically last year?
Yeah.
What Navy's doing differently, I think.
Oh, well, we're doing different than offense.
Yeah, correct. What you guys are kind of doing.
I'm sorry. Repeat the question for me, Hayden.
Sorry. Just like what's kind of difference schematically between you guys last year when you saw Temple in Philadelphia and then this year compared to what you're trying to implement?
Yeah, it's just a different offense in general. There's some similarities, Hayden, to what we did last year. Last year we lined up in mostly double slot against these guys and tried to run some triple, and didn't have a ton of success doing that. But we're different operation this year. We're basing out of a wing tee and a little more balance in what we're doing offensively. And so those are the major differences.
And then for you guys defensively, just what's kind of the game plan and the mindset going into Saturday?
Yeah, well, we're still working on that right now, putting together a game plan. and don't want to give you all the answers to that, Hayden, but we're putting it together as we speak. But obviously, just got to have 11 guys doing their job and playing with the lead effort and block destruction, obviously tackling well and keeping things in front of us, not giving up explosive plays and being opportunistic on defense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pete Medhurst.
Pete Medhurst, Navy Radio Network. Coach, how different is the routine now? For a month and a half, you've been coming up with practice plans, drills, different things to, simulate competition. How different is it now that you get into game mode and obviously now try to get into a little bit of a routine here?
Yeah, it would be very similar this week to what it was last week. We really had kind of 2 weeks where we were in kind of in season mode the week before we got into game week. And so now kind of we're into a groove, and what we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is Friday is really consistent now moving forward, outside of a bye week, obviously.
Joe had a great stat from Saturday, and maybe perhaps it was a microcosm of just the offensive struggles last year. Alex only had 7 red touches in the red zone all last year. Obviously had 4 alone in the game this past Saturday, and obviously didn't, play as many snaps as he might in a normal game. As you guys, formulate that kind of stuff, being able to have him and Daba both down there as different types of guys, yet they can run in similar ways. What kind of advantage does that help you with offensively? Not only do you have the guy, that can do the great things athletically out on the outside with Heidenreich and Chapman, but you got 2 guys that really allow you to do any number of things, especially at that B-back position.
Yeah, I think it's good to have 2 of those guys. They're really good players, and the ability to keep those guys fresh, Pete, is really important. I think Teska's got a little bit more flexibility in what we can do with him. I think you saw Daba hit the long run. I mean, he can go. I mean, both those guys are both big play explosive guys. What we'd like to get to do eventually is do some more things with Alex, move him around a little bit, potentially play him in the slot, things like that. Maybe get both those guys on the field at the same time as we continue to evolve the offense.
General thoughts on the way your quarterbacks played this past weekend?
Sure. I thought they did some really good things. I thought Blake threw the ball really well. A couple of decisions I think he'd like to get back. He missed a guy open in the end zone one time, but made some really, really nice throws as well. I thought he made some good decisions. He took a sack one time and should have checked it down and got rid of the ball quickly. But for his first game, in the offense, I thought he managed it and handled it really well. And then I thought Braxton came in, did some good things too. He threw one pick, but it was a nice ball. I mean, it should have been completed. It got tipped up in the air and had a couple other drops as well. But I thought they both did really well. Certainly things they can do better and a lot to build off of. But I think coming out of the game, you feel pretty good that you got 2 guys you can win with.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Declan.
Hi, Coach. Declan Landis, Philadelphia Inquirer. You kind of talked a little bit about the changes that need to be made from week 1 to week 2, and that kind of being the difference in the season almost.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an added pressure to that when you're going in week 1 to week 2 into conference play? In week 2, I mean?
Yeah, maybe so. We try to approach them all the same way, Declan. But the truth be told, I mean, this is a first conference game. We're playing a team that beat us pretty good last year. And so our approach doesn't change. I think every week you play, the games become kind of more important. So we're just excited to get back on the grass, excited to correct some of the things from Saturday and to continue to get better. And I think you'll see that happen.
And you talked a little bit about the athleticism on the Temple side. Is there a specific way to scheme against that you're kind of thinking of? I know you can't give the game plan away, but in general, when you're looking at an athletic team, what are some of the best ways to attack it?
Well, I don't think there is a great way to attack them. They're athletic. They're athletic. You know what I mean? You just got to account for their speed and certain things that in space you may not be able to get that you get against other people, if that makes sense. But I think it's going to affect our game plan a whole lot. We're just going to play a lot faster on Saturday. There's going to be a noticeable difference from what we saw Saturday to what we'll see this Saturday.
Great. Thank you.
Things are going to happen faster.
For those of you who joined us a little late, 3 questions, up to 3 questions. If you could introduce yourself and your media organization the first time through, that would be great. Bill Wagner.
Bill Wagner from the Baltimore Sun and Annapolis Capital newspapers. Coach, I was wondering, with the way that Oklahoma Temple game was so lopsided, were you really able to draw much out of that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't. It was 34-0 at halftime, I think, and but Temple continued to run their offense, do the things that they do, and yeah, maybe not as much as you'd like to if it had been a closer game, obviously, but enough to draw from, certainly.
How glad are you to see Warner going?
Well, I'll tell you what, he was a good player. With the quarterback they have now is a really good one too. So they replaced one good one with another.
I talked to the guys after the game on Saturday, and they said this is a game they have circled. Last year, this game did not go well for you. This is one of the not so good performances for your defense. Can you talk about what happened last year and the desire to make some amends?
Yeah, I think winning this game last year, I think I like to say we choked on the sugar a little bit. I think we played really well the week before, and I thought our guys were maybe a little overconfident going into that game. I didn't think the week of preparation was great leading into Temple, and so yeah, they got a chip on their shoulder about this one for sure.
I think that was my 3 questions.
Joe Miller.
Joe Miller, Navy Radio Network. Coach, you talked in the lead up to the game about Jackson Campbell, and for a guy playing in his first real game, I think he played a couple snaps maybe last year. He looked pretty comfortable out there. What did you think of Jackson? And he seemed to make a couple big plays throughout the contest.
Yeah, he did some good things, Joe. I thought he played like it was his first game, though. There's some things that he's got to get cleaned up for sure, and I know he'll be better next week. But yeah, made some really nice plays, and he plays a lot on special teams as well. But he's got to continue to get better, and I know he will. It's just first time playing in the game as a starter is different, and so things he's got to get better at. But I was pleased with his effort. He was productive. Missed a few tackles, had a couple busts here and there, but he'll be better for it. I know that.
I wanted to ask about special teams since you brought it up. It seemed like a little bit of a mixed bag. I mean, there was some big hits, some big plays, but it was also some big returns by Bucknell. There was the missed extra point as well. Overall, what did you think of the special teams unit as a whole?
Not up to standard. I'm really disappointed. Was the thing I was the most disappointed with coming out of the game. Is that something that we take a lot of pride in around here, and something that was a bright spot for us last year. And I think we probably spend as much time as anybody does on special teams, and was disappointed with the execution, and at times even, I hate to say it, but even the effort wasn't what it needs to be. And so that's going to be something that we're going to really hit on this week.
I know it's one game and you got a long way to go, but one of the things we talked a lot about was third down execution, red zone execution. Those numbers were way down last year. Third downs pretty good throughout the entire contest. You were, I think, 5 for 5 inside the red zone, scoring touchdowns. I got to imagine, granted, it's one weekend, but those were the things that you were looking for, and it's good to have that production come out of the first week of the season, I would imagine. Yeah,
no question, and that's one of Drew's big deals. When we get down the red zone, we want sevens, not threes. We can get them, and we were pretty efficient on third down. Left a few out there with an untimely penalty, and then a couple of drops, a missed throw. But yeah, we got to be great on third down, and there's a direct correlation to being good on third down and being good on 1st and 10. And put yourself in those 3rd and shorts and 3rd and manageable type situations. We're a lot better when we can do that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Joe.
Johnny.
Hi, Coach. Johnny Zwislak, allscoop.com. I wanted to ask you a little bit about what you saw from Temple's defense. They didn't really get beat beat by large behind themselves too much in the secondary by Oklahoma. The one
Yeah.
47 touchdown, but other than that, they were able to keep that Oklahoma offense, which I have some explosive receivers on that offense, keep them in front of them. What'd you kind of see from secondary?
They do. That's where you see the athleticism, and Oklahoma was 1 out of 12 on third down, and they were on the field a lot. Obviously 6 turnovers, and they got put in some bad situations. And I was really impressed with their defense. You look at the score and you think maybe that's not the case, but a lot of bright spots, some good players. I think the 2 inside players are really good. I've been really impressed watching those guys. And again, just really athletic, like what they're doing schematically. And I thought, that they competed and they got put in some bad, tough situations. But that's a very, very explosive offense, that they're going against that does some really problematic things schematically. But I thought they did some good things.
And you mentioned the interior on that defensive line. They were able to put some pressure on Oklahoma as well. We got to the quarterback 3 times. I mean, where does it come for you guys in game planning with them? And the pass rush seems like it's definitely improved from where it was when you guys faced them last year. They have a little bit more depth there. How's kind of game plan against that?
Yeah, you worry about those guys putting pressure on the quarterback. They were able to do that against Oklahoma. I think they had 3 sacks in that game and pressured the quarterback several other times. And we're not a big drop back team, Johnny, as you know. So, you got to get the ball out quickly, got to get on the perimeter some. And when you play action, you hope to hold that a little bit. But yeah, it's a concern for us for sure.
Thank you.
I believe Oklahoma only had around 350 yards total offense in that game. So let's see. Back to Scott Wyckoff. We'll do 2 questions each.
Coach, how do you feel about the strength and conditioning of this team as you come out of the first game and now start moving into the season with the second game? How do you feel this team is both conditioning wise and strength wise?
Good. I feel good. I think sometimes in that first game, it's different. The difference is the nerves a little bit plays into it. And you had a few guys cramp that I think a lot of that was nerve related, anxiety related. But I think we're in good shape. I think the second game, usually your wind is a little bit better. Your nerves are calmed down a little bit. But I think I brag about Coach Critchie and the strength and conditioning staff all the time. And they had our guys prepared for training camp. And, the way we practice, we go hard now. We're in good shape.
How do you like the way that the players responded to both the helmet communications and also the tablets on the sidelines?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Didn't really have any issues to speak of. There was a couple of times where, the player to helmet or the coach to player communication was a little spotty in certain parts of the field. We're trying to work through that now, but the tablets are a pretty cool deal. You're able to get over on the sideline and see some things that you might not see otherwise, and just have your players be able to watch that stuff is really good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Hayden.
Coach, I know you talked about some guys needing to step up. Is there a specific unit that you would like to see just in general step up this week in order for you guys to take care of business?
Yeah, I think we got to step up in every phase of the game. I thought the operation, some of the things in special teams are going to have to be better. Obviously, for us to win this game, we're going to have to win that phase of the game. I think to have a chance to win, so we got to do way better on our special teams. There's no doubt about that.
And then I know you talked about a little bit of Temple's defensively, how good they were on third down. So how big is it for you guys to execute on first and second downs this week?
Yeah, it's big, Hayden. Just like I said earlier, the better we are on first down and second down, you get in more manageable type third down situations where people can't really pin their ears back and come after you. The call sheet on third and short and medium is a lot more wide open than it is on third and long. And we're not built, not a third and long type team, right? So we got to stay out of those situations as much as possible.
Thank you.
Pete.
Touched on it a little bit a couple questions ago with Coach Critchie, but I wanted to ask you, I mean, there's 2 plays I think that kind of define what he and his staff do with the players. Landon's sack, where he essentially takes three guys draped on him into the backfield, sacks the quarterback. And the other one, we don't necessarily equate it with the smaller guys, but I thought Chapman's run that ends up as a touchdown and the strength he showed breaking through multiple tackles, also thought that's an indication too of the work that those guys do, that he has the leg strength, the leg drive still to get through all of that and persevere 42 yards for a touchdown. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. I think Chapman's one of those guys that's put on 10 pounds, and he's always been a guy for his size. It was a hard runner, breaks tackles, but yeah, you definitely see a better football player now than he was a year ago because of that added weight, that added strength. And you look at a guy like Landon, who was already pretty strong, but he's gotten a little quicker and faster, and he's a guy for a nose that gives you he can rush the quarterback. You know, as you guys saw on Saturday. He's a guy that we can get a little pressure with. And you can put him in there on a guard, and he can win some of those matchups. And so I was excited about some of the things that I thought Landon played really well Saturday. I thought his effort was tremendous and made some nice plays. And he's just going to continue to get better and better.
In any form of option football, playing against an end that is big, strong, athletic like Stewart is for Temple presents challenges. But, you know, how do you, rise to that challenge and, try to get a guy like that in conflict as much as you can to make that stuff work?
Yeah, it certainly makes it a little bit harder to read a really long, big, athletic five technique and some of the option game. We've got to, I'm going to leave it up to Drew and how we're going to game plan that, obviously, and figure out where kind of we want to attack those guys. And there's definitely some areas of concern, and from a personnel standpoint, and we got to figure that out with the game plan, the best way to proceed there.
Thank you, sir.
Wags.
Might just hit the golf ball.
Wags, we can't hear you. All right, I'm gonna go to Joe Miller.
Coach, the jumping off the offsides, it didn't seem like in years past that was an issue, and I don't know if it's just a one game thing. It's first game jitters.
Yeah.
I saw you a couple times get a little frustrated with that. Is that something like, other than it's completely mental, anything you can like sort of work on to fix those issues? And obviously it might have been just a one-time thing. Or
Yeah, you guys know how I feel about the pre-snap penalties, right? So yeah, it was. I tell you what, Joe, they did a nice job with the hard count, and it's something, going into your first game that it's hard to simulate that with the scouts, and but it's something that we'll try to do our best simulating moving forward. But get off on the football, not on the cadence, not on the clap, and so that stuff's unacceptable. Our guys know it, and I'm glad it happened early, and we'll work on it. We'll be better.
I'm good. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Joe.
Wags, we'll go back to you, see if you got better reception.
Can you hear me?
Yes, not bad.
What I was asking is, in recent years, especially Temple, like the quick passing game, getting it out quick, do you expect that Temple to continue with that type of game plan against Navy?
Yeah, I expect we'll see some of that. I think they're doing some different things this year. I think, yeah, it's something that they've been really, really good at. Getting five out, getting the ball out quickly, and creating space for the receivers, and some stuff that's hard to defend. Yeah, we'll see that stuff for sure.
It's a college football axiom that teams get better from week 1 to week 2 and make their most improvement. Do you agree with that? If so, why is that the case?
Yeah, that's one of the first things I talked about earlier. Is that's where you hope to see. Typically, that's where you see the most improvement, and certainly our goal this week is to be the most improved team in the country from week 1 to week 2. And there's as Coach Brown likes to say, there's a lot of meat left on the bone from Saturday, and a lot of really good things to build off of. But certainly hope and expect to see a ton of improvement this Saturday.
All right, I'll go on to Donnie.
I'm good. I don't have anything else.
Does anyone have any other questions? Open forum right here. We got a couple minutes left. Has anyone got anything?
I have one more, Scott.
Go ahead, Hayden.
Coach, I know in the past you used to work at Lehigh with Temple special team coordinator Adam Shire. Have you kind of had any talk with him before the game coming up, or?
No, not this year. You know, it was good to see him last year and catch up a little bit. It was a long time ago. I think Coach Shire is an excellent football coach, and one of the funniest guys I know. When I was on staff, we kept everybody laughing. But no, he does a great job, and yeah, we got some ties there from the old days at Lehigh. He was there a lot longer than me. I was there for just a brief moment, but I think he does a really good job with their special teams. I have a ton of respect for Adam.